Human geography, an area of geography that studies the relationships between people and their environments, where you examine the cultural, economic, political, and social issues that influence regions and places. Human geographers study spatial patterns and focus on interaction and movement of people, as well as the interaction between people and nature. By exploring these complex relationships, we gain an insight into current global issues like climate change, inequality, and urban development. Human geography is a branch of geography that focuses on the study of human societies, cultures, and their relationships with the environment. Unlike physical geography, which examines natural features and processes, human geography delves into various aspects such as government, economy, population, and cultural practices, making it closely associated with cultural geography. This field has a rich history, evolving from early ideas in environmental determinism to more nuanced concepts like cultural ecology, which emphasize the interplay between humans and their physical surroundings. If you have ever wondered what is human geography, or considered studying the discipline, you're about to discover a key branch of geography focused on the complex and dynamic ways humans interact with the Earth's surface. It's a branch of geography that focuses on how societies, cultures, and economies shape and are shaped by the places where people live, work, and move. Rather than simply mapping physical features, human geography seeks to uncover the reasons behind where and why things happen, investigating the how, why, and with what consequences of human behavior. Human geography, also known as anthropogeography, is a branch of geography that studies how people interact with places. It focuses on the spatial relationships between human communities, cultures, economies, people, lifestyle, and their environments. Examples include patterns like urban sprawl and urban redevelopment. It looks at how social interactions connect with the environment using both qualitative, descriptive, and quantitative, numerical, methods. This multidisciplinary field draws from sociology, anthropology, economics, and environmental science, helping build a more complete understanding of how human activity shapes the spaces we live in. The primary fields of study in human geography focus on the core fields of cultural geography is the study of cultural products and norms, their variation across spaces and places, as well as their relations. It focuses on describing and analyzing the ways language, religion, economy, government, and other cultural phenomena vary or remain constant from one place to another, and on explaining how humans function spatially. Subfields include social geography, animal geographies, language geography, sexuality and space, children's geographies, and religion and geography. Development geography is the study of the Earth's geography with reference to the standard of living and the quality of life of its human inhabitants, study of the location, distribution, and spatial organization of economic activities across the Earth. The subject matter investigated is strongly influenced by the researcher's methodological approach. Economic geography examines relationships between human economic systems, states, and other factors, and the biophysical environment. Subfields include marketing geography and transportation geography. Emotional geography is a subtopic within human geography, more specifically cultural geography, which applies psychological theories of emotion. It is an interdisciplinary field relating emotions, geographic places, and their contextual environments. These subjective feelings can be applied to individual and social contexts. Emotional geography specifically focuses on how human emotions relate to, or affect, the environment around them. Firstly, there is a difference between emotional and affectual geography, and they have their respective geographical subfields. The former refers to theories of expressed feelings and the social constructs of expressed feelings, which can be generalizable and understood globally. The latter refers to theories underlying inexpressible feelings that are independent, embodied, and hard to understand. Emotional geography approaches geographical concepts and research from an expressed and generalizable perspective. Historically, emotions have an ultimate adaptive significance by accentuating a nonverbal form of communication that is universal. This dates back to Darwin's theory of emotion, which explains the evolutionary development of expressed emotion. This aids individual and societal relationships as there is the presence of emotional communication. For example, when studying social phenomena, individuals' emotions can connect and create a social emotion which can define the event happening. So, emotional geography applies emotional theory to places, emphasizing the individual and social presence of it. The geography of food is a field of human geography. It focuses on patterns of food production and consumption on the local to global scale. Tracing these complex patterns helps geographers understand the unequal relationships between developed and developing countries in relation to the innovation, production, transportation, retail, and consumption of food. It is also a topic that is becoming increasingly charged in the public eye. The movement to reconnect the space and place in the food system is growing, spearheaded by the research of geographers. Medical or health geography is the application of geographical information, perspectives, and methods to the study of health, disease, and health care. Health geography deals with the spatial relations and patterns between people and the environment. This is a subdiscipline of human geography, researching how and why diseases are spread and contained. Historical geography is the study of the human, physical, fictional, theoretical, and real geographies of the past. Historical geography studies a wide variety of issues and topics. A common theme is the study of the geographies of the past and how a place or region changes through time. Many historical geographers study geographical patterns through time, including how people have interacted with their environment, and created the cultural landscape. Political geography is concerned with the study of both the spatially uneven outcomes of political processes and the ways in which political processes are themselves affected by spatial structures. Subfields include electoral geography, geopolitics, strategic geography, and military geography. Population geography is the study of ways in which spatial variations in the distribution, composition, migration, and growth of populations are related to their environment or location. Settlement geography, including urban geography, is the study of urban and rural areas with specific regards to spatial, relational, and theoretical aspects of settlement. That is the study of areas which have a concentration of buildings and infrastructure. These are areas where the majority of economic activities are in the secondary sector and tertiary sectors. Urban geography is the study of cities, towns, and other areas of relatively dense settlement. Two main interests are site, how a settlement is positioned relative to the physical environment, and situation, how a settlement is positioned relative to other settlements. Another area of interest is the internal organization of urban areas with regard to different demographic groups and the layout of infrastructure. This subdiscipline also draws on ideas from other branches of human geography to see their involvement in the processes and patterns evident in an urban area. Subfields include economic geography, population geography, and settlement geography. These are clearly not the only subfields that could be used to assist in the study of urban geography, but they are some major players. Since 1945, human geography has contained 5 main divisions. The first 4, economic, social, cultural, and political, reflect both the main areas of contemporary life and the social science disciplines with which geographers interact, i.e., economics, sociology, anthropology, and political science and international relations, respectively. The 5th is historical geography. All 5 have remained central, being joined in the mid to late 20th century by concentrations on particular types of areas, notably urban. Research interests in specific regions have declined, and relatively few geographers now identify themselves as experts on a particular part of the world. Economic geography has a long pedigree. Its traditional focus has been the distribution of various productive activities with subdivisions into, for example, the geography of agriculture, industrial geography, and the geography of services and patterns of trade such as transport geography. Such concentrations were strengthened by the move into spatial analysis. Relatively little work in that mold is now undertaken, however, and the models of idealized economic landscapes that dominated in the 1960s and 70s are now rarely deployed or taught. Part of the change reflects economic shifts, notably the extension of globalization. Transport costs have decreasing significance for many location decisions, relative to labor and other costs. Instead, the decision-making of transnational corporations dominates the changing global pattern of activity, reflecting a wide range of political as well as economic concerns regarding the profitability of investing in different countries and regions. Much contemporary work studies company locational decision-making processes, the regulatory regimes of individual states, including policies designed to attract and retain investment, and their impact on the pattern of economic activity. Economic and cultural worlds are closely intertwined. Many individual economic decisions in advanced industrial countries, e.g., what to buy, where to eat, and where to take vacations, reflect not needs but rather culturally induced preferences, which change rapidly, in part responding to advertising and media discussions of tastes and fashions. To some commentators, this generates a significant shift in the major features of capitalist production and consumption. It is moving away from mass products manufactured on large assembly lines toward myriad small niche markets with factories having relatively short production lines and rapid changes in the details of their products. Economic geographers investigate how markets for goods and services are culturally created and changed, and the implications for both where production occurs and where jobs are created and destroyed. Political geography also has a considerable pedigree, although it attracted little attention during the mid-20th century. Its main concerns are with the state and its territory, with states' external relations and the relationships between governments and citizens. The geography of conflict incorporates both local conflicts, over such matters as land use and environmental issues, and international conflicts, including the growth of nationalism and the creation of new states. Electoral geography is a small subfield, concerned with voting patterns and the translation of votes into legislative seats through the deployment of territorially defined electoral districts. Social geography concentrates on divisions within society, initially class, ethnicity, and, to a lesser extent, religion. However, more recently others have been added, such as gender, sexual orientation, and age. Mapping where different groups are concentrated is a common activity, especially within urban areas, as is investigating the related inequalities and conflicts. Such mappings are complemented by more detailed studies of the role of place and space in social behavior, as with studies of the geography of crime and of educational provision, and in how mental representations of those geographies are created and transmitted. Other subdisciplines associated with social geography are sometimes seen as separate. Population geography is largely concerned with the three main demographic characteristics of fertility, mortality, and migration. Investigations using census and other data are complemented by detailed case studies of decision-making, such as whether and where to migrate and how relevant information is received and processed. Medical geography focuses on patterns of disease and death, of how diseases spread, for example, and how variations in morbidity and mortality rates reflect local environments, and on geographies of healthcare provision. In its original manifestations, cultural geography had close links with anthropology, especially in the work of Sauer's Berkeley School. This has been superseded by a wider appreciation of the interrelationships among people and societies, as well as between people and their environments. Cultures are sets of beliefs transmitted in various ways. Many involve texts, not only written but also visual and constructed, example works of art and architecture, and oral, example soundscapes. Some may never be recorded but are transitory moments in people's movements and expressions. Interpreting them involves deconstructing what people say and do, activities that bring geographers into contact with the humanities as well as the social sciences in developing appreciations of meanings in texts and actions, including the landscapes and townscapes, large and small, personal and intimate, as well as grand and public, created in the process. In its original manifestations, cultural geography had close links with anthropology, especially in the work of Sauer's Berkeley School. This has been superseded by a wider appreciation of the interrelationships among people and societies as well as between people and their environments. Cultures are sets of beliefs transmitted in various ways. Many involve texts, not only written but also visual and constructed, example works of art and architecture, and oral, example soundscapes. Some may never be recorded but are transitory moments in people's movements and expressions. Interpreting them involves deconstructing what people say and do, activities that bring geographers into contact with the humanities as well as the social sciences in developing appreciations of meanings in texts and actions, including the landscapes and townscapes large and small, personal and intimate, as well as grand and public created in the process. Places are central to this diverse range of contemporary work, especially in the study of cultural change, which involves mixing people from different backgrounds and areas as they move through space. Cultures are fluid and continually renegotiated, as are the spaces they create and occupy. Many negotiations involve conflict and the exercise of power. For example, the imperial strategies in the construction of 19th and 20th century worlds and post-colonial responses to others' worldviews imposed on them. One of the most popular fields of study from the 1960s to the 80s was urban geography, under the banner of which much pioneering work in the locational analysis approach was conducted. Cities and towns were field laboratories for testing models of least cost decision-making. When those models were dismissed as oversimplifying complex realities and the search for spatial laws about cities declined, interest turned to contemporary concerns regarding urban areas and life. Cities are major globalization nodes, economic power being centralized in a small number of world cities. London, New York City, and Tokyo are usually placed at the top of city hierarchies. Given that the majority of people in the industrialized world live in cities, it is not surprising that urban geography has received much more attention than rural geography. Relatively little work was done on aspects of rural areas other than agriculture before the 1970s, just when, according to some, much of the particularity of rural areas was disappearing as many features of urban society were reaching into the countryside. To others, however, issues unique to rural, low-density areas call for a separate rural geography, although typical urban problems such as poverty, homelessness, social exclusion, and access to public facilities are also characteristic of rural low-density areas. Particular issues there include the society-nature relationships, common images of the rural, and the role of tourism in reinvigorating rural economies. Historical geography has retained its identity and distinction, although historical geographers have not distanced themselves from changes elsewhere in the discipline, with which their focus on interpreting the past from available evidence resonates. The developments in locational analysis stimulated some new ways to study available data. For others, the later developments, especially in cultural geography, coincided with their deployment of a wide range of non-quantitative sources to reconstruct the real and imagined, as well as the abstract, spatial analysis, worlds of the past. Issues of post-colonialism have attracted the attention of historical geographers as well as those interested in current cultural issues. Detailed analyses of particular places and times are complemented by major synth essays such as Donald Meinig's 4-volume The Shaping of America, A Geographical Perspective on 500 Years of History, 1986 to 2002. A great range of sources is now used in such endeavors, not only maps but also, for example, travelers' writings about worlds they have encountered. Within this enterprise is a rejuvenated interest in the history of geography itself, not merely as a means of better appreciating where the discipline has come from but also of illustrating the importance of place and context in its evolution. Geography, like so much else, is a range of practices that emerged and evolved in response to local stimuli. Geographers have produced particular forms of knowledge that have been significantly influenced by how people have encountered the world. Historical geographers have long investigated landscape change. Their work now informs investigations of global environmental changes as well as illustrating past human-induced environmental modifications. Other research evaluates contemporary environmental changes and their implications not only for environmental futures but also for individual life chances. Such studies occupy the intersection of physical and human geography, although relatively little work involves collaboration among human and physical geographers. For the latter, it involves incorporating human-induced changes to models of environmental processes and systems. Human geographers' concerns range widely, from pragmatically applied work on environmental policy and management through political ecology to explorations of culture-nature interrelations. Thank you for watching this video.